We can find the length of a smooth curve described by the position vector r of t, which has an x component, a y component, and z component over an interval from a to b in a similar way that we did for curves in the plane. So recall that we had some length along the curve, delta s, and if we blow this up, we have the length in the x direction, which is delta x, and plus a length in the y direction, being delta y. So that gives this length over here, using a right triangle, which is delta x squared plus delta y squared. And in 3D space, we have an additional length, delta z, in the vertical direction, which gives this right triangle. So we have this length, which is delta x squared plus delta y squared, plus delta z squared, gives us a squared length of delta s. And if we divide both sides of the equation by delta t squared, we get delta s on delta t squared is equal to delta x on delta t squared plus delta y on delta t squared plus delta z on delta t squared. And taking the limit as delta t goes to 0, and then the square root of both sides, we get the derivative of s with respect to t is equal to the square root of dx dt squared plus dy dt squared plus dz dt squared. And then separating the variables and integrating both sides. So we integrate from t equals a to t equals b, and therefore the left hand side is the length of the curve from t equals a to b. So we can just replace this with the length L. So this is similar to the derivation for a plane curve, except for a space curve, we have an additional z component. And recognizing the integrand is the speed or magnitude of velocity, we can rewrite this integral as the integral from a to b by the magnitude of the velocity, which is a function of t, over t. If we choose a base point on a space curve parameterized by t, so this is a point at t equals t0, then each value of t determines a point pt along the curve, and a directed distance along this curve to that point, which we'll call s of t. So s of t is called the arc length function, and this can be obtained using the arc length integral. So instead, we integrate from t equals t0 to t, and we're integrating the speed, which is the magnitude of velocity, at t, but here we'll use a dummy variable tau, because t is used as a limit of integration. So we integrate over tau, and then when we substitute the limits of integration in the evaluated integral, then we get s as a function of t. Now when t is greater than t0, then s of t is the distance along the curve from the base point to a point located by t. And if t is less than t0, then this gives a negative result, and s of t is the negative of the distance from the base point to p of t. Now given that each value of s determines a point p on the curve, then it parameterizes the curve with respect to s, where s is the arc length parameter of the curve. So its value increases in the direction of increasing t. So we can also parameterize a curve in terms of s if we have r of t defining the curve in terms of a parameter t, and s of t is the given arc length function. So in other words, we can solve for t as a function of s and then reparameterize the curve in terms of s by substituting for t. So we'd have r of t of s, and then a new parameterization will identify a point on the curve with its directed distance from the base point. And we'll see that when we cover an example. Given the directed distance, or arc length function, was defined as the integral from t0 to t, and we integrate the magnitude of velocity over tau using the dummy variable, and for a smooth curve, v of tau has continuous first derivatives, so that was equal to x dash of tau squared plus y dash of tau squared plus z dash of tau squared. Then by the fundamental theorem of calculus, the speed of the particle moving along the curve can be obtained by differentiating both sides. So we have ds dt is equal to the speed, which is a function of t. So note that when we evaluate this integral, we substitute t for the dummy variable. So we can see that this here does not depend on the base point from which the directed distance is measured from to locate a point p on the curve. So therefore the rate at which the particle covers distance along the path does not depend on its distance from the base point. Now for a smooth curve, this derivative is larger than 0, so it's always positive, because the speed is never 0 for a smooth curve. So given the derivative is positive, then the arc length function is an increasing function of t. Recall the velocity vector is the derivative of the position function with respect to t, and its tangent to the curve at the point defined by the parameter t. So therefore, we can define a unit tangent vector as the velocity on the magnitude of velocity. So this unit vector is in the direction of v, so it's also tangent to the curve. So this is called the unit tangent vector. So whenever v is a differentiable function of t, then so is the tangent vector. So as we saw previously, the derivative of the arc length function with respect to the parameter t, being the speed along the curve, is greater than 0 for smooth curves. So therefore s is an increasing function of t. So therefore s is also a one-to-one function of t. So a value of t gives a unique value for s. And therefore the arc length function has an inverse that gives t as a differentiable function of s. So therefore the derivative of this inverse function is a derivative of t with respect to s, and that can be written as the reciprocal of ds dt. And recalling ds dt was the speed or magnitude of velocity, we can write this as a reciprocal of the magnitude of the velocity. So this is the derivative of the inverse function t of s. So from this, we can write the tangent vector in an alternate form. So by taking the derivative of the position function with respect to s, we can use the chain rule to first differentiate with respect to t and multiply this by the derivative of t with respect to s. So that gives the velocity by the reciprocal of the magnitude, which is thereby equal to the unit tangent vector, which is in the direction of the velocity vector. A particle is travelling along a helix given by the following position vector function. How long is the path in the closed interval from t equals 0 to pi? Well, recall the arc length formula is the integral of the magnitude of the velocity vector, which is a function of t, over t. And here we're integrating from 0 to pi. And the velocity can be obtained by differentiating the position vector. So we get minus sine t in the I direction, plus cosine t in the j direction, plus k. So therefore the magnitude of v is equal to the square root of minus sine t squared plus cosine t squared plus 1 squared, which using the trig identity gives us root 1 plus 1, or root 2. So therefore, we have the integral from 0 to pi of root 2 with respect to t, and that gives root 2t evaluated at 0 on pi, which gives pi root 2. Let's find the arc length parameterization of the helix given by the following position function. So we want to find r, which is a function of t, as a function of the arc length parameter s. And recall that the arc length function was equal to the integral from an initial t, which will take us 0, as it's not given in a problem, to t, and we're integrating the magnitude of the velocity vector using the dummy variable tau, and we integrate with respect to tau. So we've obtained the magnitude of the velocity vector previously as root 2 for a helix. So I'll let you verify this as an exercise. So this integral evaluates to root 2 tau, evaluated at t equals 0 and t. So what we get is the arc length function is equal to root 2t. So therefore t is equal to s on root 2. And then we substitute for t into the position vector function. So we have r of t of s is equal to cosine s on root 2 in the I direction plus sine of s on root 2 in the j direction plus s on root 2 in the k direction. So therefore we have the arc length function, which gives us a directed distance of a point along the curve from the reference point, located by t0, and we can also obtain a position of this point from this parameterization using the arc length parameter. Find the unit tangent vector to the curve of the helix. So the tangent vector is the velocity vector on its magnitude. And a velocity vector function can be obtained by differentiating the position vector function. So we get minus sine t in the I direction plus cosine t in the j direction plus k. And that's divided by the magnitude, which is a square root of sine squared t plus cosine squared t, which is 1 by the trig identity, plus 1 gives root 2. So the unit tangent vector is always tangent to the curve and has the same length, being the unit length of 1. So if we draw it here, it'll look something like this. And somewhere here, it'll look something like this.